Hello, welcome back to another YouTube video. So for the upcoming Summerfest, we have a brand new format, aka Lyrical Cup, that we did have in the JP Deluxe events before, but now we finally have it in English for the spring and summer events. And I'm joined by someone special today to take a look at some of the lyrical decks and rank them all like everyone else.
Hey guys, I'm Romeo. I'm the residential lyrical expert that Jacoby has called in here.
Yep.
If there's any credentials you need, I play like 5, 7. I don't even remember how many lyrical decks. So yeah, I hope to maybe give some insight and see if I have anything to share.
Yeah, so we're just here to yap, and we'll see if the recording becomes like an hour or something. So as you can see, we have the tier list here. We have trying to top. So if you don't know, Summerfest is actually top 8. So we have trying to top, which is basically top 8. Viable is in like the deck is pretty playable. You're viable within the context of Lyrical Cup to top, or at least try and get close. Playable just means that you're kind of close to competitive, but you're not exactly there. So you can think of viable as competitive and playable as like almost competitive. And then high roll is basically
if everything goes well, you can just steamroll your opponent.
and maybe make top if you're just lucky. And then for fun, decks that have no support, their promo support is like pretty outdated.
Or for the people that just want something to play, or you just enjoy the boss unit, go play those decks. We're not going to stop you.
So I tried to shuffle the decks to rate, but like honestly, it's still pretty rigged looking at it. But I guess we can start with the first one, which is Froselia. I think Curly just hasn't had this one updated. Honestly, I'm kind of tempted to put Froselia in high roll, but like it probably goes in for fun. Do you want to give a rundown of the deck, or I can talk about it? It's pretty straightforward.
You can go ahead.
Okay, so for those who don't know, Froselia is basically the promo deck. So it was released as a grade 3 and also reprinted in Festival. So the deck basically plays only vanillas and then gives everything on your Guardian Circle, plus 5 shield, and it also grabs 2 normal units and an order once you Soul Blast 1 Energy Blast 2. So it's kind of like an early aggro deck because you want to slam all your vanillas to go face, and then once you Soul Blast Gem, or not Gem, Illumiraze, plus having another order and drop, once you have 5 different, you basically restand 2 front row rear guards, so you do 5 attacks.
Yeah, I think the deck itself has like really good push power because your numbers get really massive, especially going first. But just the 1 PG just really hurts the whole survivability of the deck, in my opinion.
Yeah, so you can't run PGs because basically you can't run anything with like autos or axe. So your only PG is really Elementaria, and then your giant shields are like your blitz orders, which go up to like 30k if you took a damage for, is it Symphony?
Yeah, Vibrant Symphony, which is 30k. Everything else, I think Lyrical has generally decent blitz order support, but is it really enough to like really live without PGs? I don't really know.
Look, I'm kind of tempted to say it could go in high roll because like if you know enough, but I think it can go in for fun for now. I mean, just playing enough Deer Days, like it's kind of funny when you just high roll your opponent, because once you get like the 5, so you get 5 to front row off playing an order both on your opponent's turn and your turn with Froselia. So you can kind of have like magic numbers going first if you like high roll with Super Aesthetic Shot or other cards that give power to your rears.
I agree with what you said pretty much.
Like you make really funny numbers. Like you're asking for 20 shield. Okay, let's just leave Froselia and like for fun for now and come back to it.
Yeah, I think for fun. Yeah, I think it's for. I would put it in for fun too, but it does have potential.
I feel like talking about Feltyrose. Where do you think Feltyrose goes? Probably high
I put
roll,
Feltyrose in high roll for sure. Like that deck, like for like nowadays standards, the push is not as strong, but like when it was actually dropped for the new boss, like 10k to front row is actually pretty obnoxious.
Like I feel like if you flip enough crits, like maybe it's unplayable.
Yeah, because this deck is up to 4 drives, 5 swings, and like really pretty decent numbers outside of your Vanguard lane. So like if you like actually hit everything, your opponent hit no defensives, you hit your triggers, get your calls, this deck is pretty good.
Like you still have to go first, right? But I guess going second, you still get the same amount of, like you can still high roll the same amount of drives and attacks.
Yeah, you can. It's just you're usually going second. Your opponent gets to stabilize is the main thing. Yeah, well, the main thing with Feltyrose is, for those who don't know, Feltyrose is basically you call units off your drive checks. You usually want to call normal units, and you flip triggers, you get more drives, etc. And then all the units in the deck empty their front row. So one pro with Feltyrose is it has a very good Artisaria matchup because your front row is always empty, and that's probably gonna be the most popular deck coming up in the Summerfest. So that's one pro that this deck has.
Well, I feel like you could argue Feltyrose to go in between here. I just don't want to add more.
Yeah, I personally think it's high roll because it's really inconsistent because you're going off what your drive checks do, and then you could just drive check trigger, and then literally nothing happens. You CD1 for pretty much nothing.
Yeah, if you flip it up triggers, it's fine, right? you stabilize.
Yeah, the thing is that is true because your opponent usually just gives you a 2 to pass on Vanguard, but you'd rather have the extension with the attacks. And also, if you don't hit the grade 3 Felty and Soul turn 3, like your numbers
Yeah,
are
that's
really
true.
doo-doo. And if you whiff Persona Ride as well.
Yeah, your numbers are like what, asking for only 15 shield, like pretty sad, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Because like, without a grade 3 in Soul, your rears are like what 18 and like 23-ish. Or if you have an Ingrid,
Yeah.
it's like 18, 26.
I mean, I'm pretty comfy with leaving Feltyrose here. Okay, let's move on to the talk of the town. I honestly, for Artisaria, think it kind of goes in here, but I've seen a lot of people put it in China top, which I think is fair. I feel like there's a lot to yap about for Artisaria. So for those who don't know, Artisaria is the new set 7 lyrical deck that can lock, but it can only lock when your opponent's on grade 3. So going first, you do have that advantage to stabilize, and you often... Also, the context is we don't have the really good set 8 triple rare, at least until very late into BSF season, because it comes out in July for set 8. But yeah, this deck is basically spawning Shadow Army tokens, lock, and playing like a very controlled mid game.
Yeah, like I personally think current set 7 Artisaria is alright. Is nothing amazing. I think definitely with set 8 with the new card is where it like really starts shining.
Yeah, like getting a free Shadow Army token early is like really scary. Because like when I play the deck, I often find myself putting a Shadow Army token behind Artisaria just so like there's a 28 poke, a 28 Vent swing.
Yeah, like I think one of the things with Artisaria is like if you look at the lyrical decks at the right now, I think it has very good matchups into a lot of the lyrical decks, and the fact that it's probably a very popular boss unit. I remember with set 7 and the reveals drop, that deck was like, oh my god, get lock, oh my god, get brand gate. So just like character. Yeah, it's played by an anime character too, exactly. So like I know a lot of people got into lyrical through this deck. So like this is definitely a deck you have to be on the lookout for when if you want to be playing like, or playing against.
Expensive for no reason.
Sorry?
It's also super expensive. I mean, there's a reason. Like you said, it's popular.
Yeah, like I think the deck, even if you don't go the super expensive generic route, is like pretty decent in my opinion. Like nothing amazing. Of course, the generics make it like definitely push it to like the better decks for sure. But I think even if you go like more budget option for Artisaria, it's like not terrible in my opinion.
I mean, I think the argument is just that like every other lyrical deck here, well, at least okay, not all of them, but like 90% of them are playing Kyouka, so like you can still basically play around lock. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of want to put it at like bottom of trying to top, but I'll just leave Artisaria here for now. I think you're going first turn is like you always want to take first just because you obviously get that turn to stabilize. But, like nothing really hits over defensive unless you have like a Shadow Army token already set up, which is why I think Lumetal is so good. But I mean, once you get to Persona Ride numbers, like your turns are kind of crazy. Like you have 13 boosters with Kyouka or 15 boosters, then your Valifers or whatever are 15 plus Persona Ride is basically like 38 bigger.
Yeah, your numbers get like this deck also scales really well in the late game, and then not a lot of lyrical decks really push very well early is the main thing, so you can usually stabilize pretty well.
I mean, you say that, but like speaking of, I feel like Labrador is actually kind of good. So Labrador was like really shining during Shiranui meta because dominate. So when people were playing like Izuso, they were like trying to dominate something, and the Labrador is just like, oh, you know, I bounce all my prisms back to hand. And like honestly, I feel like a lot of people like to play this deck either like early game or try to have like good late games with like aesthetic shot where your numbers are like really big. So I think Labrador goes somewhere around here. But what do you think? Especially with Artisaria being...
For me, I think Labrador is definitely goes in the viable tier. In my opinion, she's like the definition of consistency. Always does her job as long as you have your pieces. Because you're always vibe swing. You can always empty your front row. You can always get decent numbers just from your van swing. And then all your other prism units give themselves 5k. So you always have 5 attack. Decent numbers. Numbers aren't great, but they're like
I feel like the numbers are great only if you have like aesthetic shot or something else to buff it. Because like they haven't really gotten anything new since Shiranui meta. I guess the Ace unit, but the Ace unit, well actually no, the Ace unit will be active for half of BSF, I guess.
Yeah. I think Labrador is like, especially into Artisaria, because Labrador can always empty their front row, like, is definitely a very good deck in this meta. It doesn't really do anything exceptionally. Yes, Vanguard is a crit. Yes, you have 5 swings, but it doesn't really excel at anything.
I kind of want to put it in trying to top, honestly, because I feel like if a player knows the matchups and like their early game / mid game is really good, then Labrador is fine. But I feel like sometimes in late game things get awkward. Like you don't find Persona Ride, or like you don't have aesthetic shot, or whatever your order tech build is, or like situations where you're really close to deck out and you have to soul charge too. But like was it Petralka? No, not Petralka. Petronel. Oh my gosh.
Petronel, yeah. And it's only if you whiff. This deck does technically have infinite soul and infinite CC. Infinite CC. It's just you need to actually hit all the pieces.
I mean, okay,
Yeah,
you're
like,
fine
like
with Labrador being here for now, right?
yeah,
I
for
assume we're
me,
gonna change
Labrador
things
is like
later.
the borderline for viable in my opinion. Like I think for me, Labrador is like the baseline of like what a good deck is. It does everything, has a good jack of all trades, but doesn't really push anything. So I definitely think in the
Yeah,
viable,
like it doesn't feel unfair.
Yeah, it doesn't feel unfair. Yeah.
Well, speaking of unfair deck, let's take out Charmout. So where are we with Charmout? I've actually only played this deck once. I know you and like I know a lot of people that I've seen play this deck, and I feel like it goes. I feel like it goes in here because if we're talking about the context of like high five, because we know high five is going to be legal for Vancouver, and then like usually promos are 1 or 2 weeks, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you want to explain the Black Wings combo with Charmout?
Oh yeah. For those who don't know, Charmout basically gets a very big Vanguard and then shares the power with all their on-name rears and whatnot. And then there are some lists back over in JP that are playing the High Five, which is a new order that is technically supposed to support Krsyrain and Lisciafael, but some Charmout lists will play it because you can play because the order goes to bind, so you can play the Black Wings package to go with it. So you have a Grade 2 and bind, it activates Black Wings, and then they play Mediell, which is a Alestiel card normally for Black Wings, which is when that unit boosts, you can shove it to Soul to grab a card from Soul. And then so you can basically just recycle whatever pieces you shove into Soul, because this deck has a lot of random, I won't say a lot, but a couple of like random Soul charges. You can recur cards from drop into your Soul. You can also Soul charge cards from your board and whatnot. So what you can do is basically find the thing, boost with Mediell, shove her to Soul, and then grab whatever piece you need from Soul. You can even grab PGs if you want to, because you can shove them in the Soul with Aurealis. And then, oh look, PG for next turn to hopefully live.
Yeah, because like you farm PGs, you recycle them from drop after shoving them to Soul, and then like I guess you could grab Persona Ride too, but I guess you already had like the Lyrical Cat to grab Persona Ride if you really had to, right? Like before
this deck actually can't run. This deck actually can't run the cat because you need the ride line in Soul.
Oh yeah, because you have to keep putting the 1 and 0 back. Yeah, that's true. I completely forgot about that. Because like you always want the 1 to Soul Charge counter charge, or is it the 2?
Yeah, the 2.
Yeah.
This deck does usually run extra copies, but I would rather not run the cat. But yeah, besides the point.
Yeah, for like before, because I feel like, I mean, okay, I remember you telling me that you think the early game for this deck isn't insane, but I feel like just having a booster behind Van is like decent enough to push, because like as long as they're around like 2, right? Especially if you went first, you're swinging like really massive numbers, right? Basically 30 to 50 pretty much.
Yeah.
When they're on grade 2, 10k base.
Yeah. Like this game has really good gas, because even on turn 2, because you get your ride line grade 1 out for free, you can always 2 swing and whatnot, and then going grade 3, depending on how hard you commit, you can get pretty big, but usually you want to save like the really big push turn for like Persona and whatnot. But because yeah, if let's say on average you hit like 28, 33 on your Vanguard and whatnot, so if you have that on your rears, that's rears, even if you're 3 swing going first, you have 43k and then 66k, which are pretty ridiculous on a grade 2 body.
Yeah, like if your opponent's at 4, like they're all lethal swings, and then like if you went second, right, you have access to that drive check behind Van immediately.
Yeah, like I personally don't like Charmout going second, because having the soul and the numbers to get it all, and if you ever whiff the drive check going second, you just lose so much tempo that you're so far behind.
I think most of these decks will like obviously take first to you, right? So like you can kind of try and stabilize going second, like you have a chance.
Yeah, like it has a play going second, but I always prefer going first. Well,
yeah, of course.
First. Why am I saying
going first? The format.
Yeah.
So do you think Charmout goes here in vibe? I think you could argue it goes here just because like sometimes it can like get exploded, but like what it does is just sounds really good. And like, what it does
like, for me, it'd be like really the top of the viable tier. Like I definitely think it could go at the bottom of the trying to top, because the gas in this deck is actually quite good. It's just the consistency and the fragility of it, which kind of hurts it.
But I feel like the consistency is decent enough where like you can still scam people. Like if someone doesn't know the matchup, right, and they just like keep no guarding and they're at high damage, and then they're like, this guy's swinging for like 53k. How much are your other rears? Oh yeah, they're matching Van. They're like, what,
matching Van. Yep.
Like, oh my gosh. You're like, no
Yeah,
guard.
yeah, I'd be okay at the bottom of top tier or at the top of the viable tier.
Okay, well, I feel like we put it behind Artisaria for now just because of consistency. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Which one should we talk about next?
I don't know.
This
Let's
we put away
go.
for now.
Yeah, Kairi's not out yet. No, let's go with Krsyrain. Just we talk about the high five. We can see how that goes with this.
So I've seen Krsyrain on CFA with the re-standard, but not with high five. And I honestly do think with high five it goes up here. But like sometimes Krsyrain just can't kill sometimes. But like your French column is like so big with Yuika.
Yeah,
so
I
feel like
checked
it has to go up
30k
here.
by herself. Like for me, I think she also goes around where Charmout is, where like at bottom of trying to top, just because she's so consistent. She draws so many cards, and her van is consistently a crit, and she gets the she's generic enough where you can run all the good lyrical generics, which really helps.
Literally.
Yeah, you run Fenchette. Well, in this case, it's not generic, but yeah, you run Yuika. You can run Velfer if you need the soul. You can run the cyclers and whatnot. Like this deck has a lot of, not say a lot of, but excess energy, so you can just spam Pressia constantly.
No, like your booster guard restrict is usually at like what 1 or 2 at max. Like I don't think they usually play that many, especially with high five. Like you don't have that much space. Like you have space, but not that much space for generics.
Well, grade ones are also tutorable in this deck because you have the mana, so last you call anything.
True.
Yeah, like I think Krsyrain between decent numbers and hand advantage is always good because CD1 draw a card's always powerful in lyrical.
I'm just gonna call with Ming right now. Okay, Papa. Oh, you're going?
Yeah. Okay. And there's also the fun.
No, I feel like your points for like Krsyrain are completely valid. I think one of the strongest things is because you can play. Okay. I hate that I'm so brain rotted because of Krsyrain and Kairi, but because you can play Strega and other things early game, right? Like with the Wilista ride line or whatever else, you can honestly call PGs or whatever pieces and just bounce them off like Divine Scale if you really have to.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And then like you could also just get scammed because like crit +1, if your opponent's at like 3 or something, you flip enough crits, you copy it, your opponent doesn't have enough shield, they just get scammed by Divine Skill. Like if they went first and didn't find PGs.
Yeah. Listen, speaking of scam, like sometimes your opponent just doesn't have a PG, they just get scammed by Realm. Because 3 different grade guard restrict is actually really obnoxious. So like sometimes you just have to take Van and you can't do shit.
Yeah. I mean, even if you Elementaria the Krsyrain swing, it's still 2 cards out of your hand, and then like you still have to respond with like just Krsyrain on its own is what, like 23 or is it 28 off Frenchette?
23.
Yeah.
Because you have to
and then triggers Persona will stack 10K. That even higher.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. I feel like with without high five, it probably goes like top of viable, but like with high five, I feel like it's definitely like high five is just more plus. Obviously, your divine skill is really good.
You free body on board, more power on your Vanguard and on the rear.
Yeah. Well, okay. I would say Krsyrain Kairi should be on here, but like, I'm too lazy to add it, to be honest. But I think Krsyrain Kairi probably goes in like viable or playable somewhere.
I think so. Yeah. It's basically a Kairi deck with a Vanguard that has a crit turn 3.
Like you're basically mitigating going second for those that know the funny build. You basically ride Krsyrain Kairi like blind taking second, or your opponent takes first, and then you go into Kairi and then Yasmin to get the extra Kairi and Soul to play your grid 4 Kairi turn.
Yeah, well, I don't see blind go second. You basically want to. It gives you a going first play is the thing on base Kairi, because base Kairi is pretty ass going first.
Yeah, like going first, you can still get all 3 effects of Krsyrain and farm.
Yeah, Van with a crit's always better than just, oh look, Soul Blast 2, bounce 2, when I could do that normally.
Yeah, exactly. Alright, let's go with the Flamgram. Flamglam?
No, we're on Kairi. I just moved to Kairi. You're already on Kairi.
Okay. We can talk about Kairi. Ignoring set 8 Kairi for now because this is just.
We can set 8 Kairi later on. We can talk about it later, but yeah.
Honestly, I feel like there's too much to talk about Kairi. I'm just gonna put it up here. You can take it away. I'll interject.
Yeah. I think Kairi is basically Labrador, but with a little better at everything outside of having a crit on Vanguard. Like your 5 attacks, you have better numbers, you plus your hand heck of a ton, and the plus with Kairi is you get triple drive. And then also with Kairi, you also get 15k shields instead of the 10k shields that the Prisms
Yeah, and
cards
then you also
you.
get like Colibristan off what's her name?
Penelope?
Yeah, Penelope. I almost said the new standard by accident.
Yeah. Like I think Kairi is like the best deck at like if you're like in the ground, you can somehow just like magically like catch yourself back up with tempo and like draw like, a heck ton of cards and whatnot.
I think Kairi's up here just because like it's so consistent, like triple drive. I think it's just the deck that you have to like respect along with Artisaria, because you know people are going to bring these decks because they're just like that consistent, that good.
Yeah.
Kairi can also easily play like I mean, probably not all lists are playing Valifer. Maybe they'll play Mermaid list once that comes out in set 8. But like you know you have your good generics like Valifer, Strago, whatever else you want to play, throw into Kairi. Like it just works.
Yeah. It also is helpful in the going first meta, right? Because everyone's blinding first. But the fact that this deck can ride up going second and still have its game plan of triple drive and everything live if you hit the Yasmin is like really nice.
Yeah, and like it's not hard to find Yasmin. Like you'll always mulligan for it going second. You have Strega and like other things that can find you it. Like it's pretty easy to get.
Yeah, like I think Kairi is like consistency at its best is how I put it.
Yeah, and triple drive always good. 3 chances to hit triggers or LT.
Yeah, or just triple blink.
Triple blink, live one more turn, do it again, surely.
Yeah. What is it? Like I've been no, never mind. Side tangent.
Okay.
Not related. I was gonna talk about Yuna Kesho, but this is not related to actual Wilista stuff.
I feel like most people don't care about Yuna Kesho. Anyways,
yeah, so that's like 3 tangent. We talk about this later.
Okay. Well, speaking of blanks, Luticia, you know, surely are you hitting 4 blanks with Luticia or 4 drives? You know, like where is Luticia going here? Somewhere?
I think Luticia is probably playable. I'd probably put her in the playable tier.
Really?
Yeah, like she's fine, but she's just so inconsistent. Like you basically need 4 orders turn 3, and there are so many ways that you can whiff Luticia.
I feel like that's definitely the biggest weakness Luticia, because like I feel like when I like the times when I have played Luticia on your days or borrowing your deck, it's like I feel like I don't have any liberty for guarding. Like I have to choose so carefully what I guard, and like I barely have a hand. But like once you get to like dress up Luticia, like you're a little bit more stabilized, especially if you went first.
Yeah, like Luticia's early game is super fragile. Like you have to bot deck 1 just to grab the order. You have to basically all your orders are usually no shield or 15k that don't refund themselves and whatnot. And then you're also trying to mulligan for the orders themselves. So yeah, you don't have really any shield or defensive pieces to really guard with.
Yeah, besides like
yes,
your
you can rush. You can rush early with all your pieces if you open like the Kyouka and the Nostria, but like if it gets countered aggro back, you're kind of really screwed.
I mean, I feel like you could argue it comes here just because, like, if you stabilized, you're probably doing all right. But like, if you have that bad early game, you're probably just getting bodied. Like, especially by these like top, like the decks all above it. Like, if they just have a good early game, you're probably like crying.
Yeah, I understand. Like, I think Luticia's late game, like even before the dress up, was pretty solid. Like restanding Vanguard, really massive numbers with Nostria and whatnot. And then now the fact that you get twin into twin drive and an extra free 10k pump to the front row, like their late game is, if you get there, is definitely solid.
Do you think it still goes unplayable? You wouldn't move it up to viable?
I would play like top of playable. Like I think it's just way too inconsistent. Like even with if you play things like order searchers, like you can play a more consistent build where you play more order searchers and whatnot, but I feel like you kind of need the push power of all the actual like beaters and like stuff like that.
Well, I was gonna bring up the Luticia actually top recently in Osaka, but like that's kind of a bad point when I know like a few other on these lists have like top, but you like even in team tournaments, I feel like Lyrical isn't that highly represented, especially in Japan, which is like kind of surprising. Besides like Kairi, Michu, and like a few other ones, kind of.
Yeah, I think Luticia is fine. Like I wouldn't mind putting it in viable. It's just nothing really stands out to it about me until you actually get that on the dress up. That
which is your turn drive.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm okay where it is. If you're okay moving viable, I'm okay too.
No, it's okay. Because, like, I get that, like, when you have those bad games, especially in, like, Lyrical Cup, where you need to get, or not need to get, but you're trying to get top 8, like, 2 bad games, you're probably not making top cut unless they were really late. Like,
Yeah.
it's pretty rough.
Yeah. For me, like, to be viable, you either need to be, like, super consistent, or you need to have, like, enough gas to actually, like, really push
Yeah, just, like,
push
blow
someone.
people up.
And like, Luticia doesn't really have either. Like, not consistent enough, and then especially early game, you're not really pushing that hard until you hit your dress up.
Yeah, it's like a little bit half an hour. Okay, back to Flamgrim. So I actually think Flamgrim can blow people up, especially if they give you like 4 damage and like they don't know the matchup. Like you could bring like a top tier deck like Kairi or Artisaria, and then you run into Flamgrim, you don't know the matchup, and then they can just like blow you up. So I actually think, and Flamgrim's actually the most budget deck because besides, but, you know, the festival package for Lyrical is like also really cheap for 2024.
Yeah.
And you don't play French yet, you don't have room for it anymore with the new cards. And then in set
Yeah.
8, Flamgrim is actually going to get the grade 1 that lets it set the 0 drive to twin drive. So you actually get to twin into twin, which is kind of crazy actually. And
Yeah,
you're
which is
turning off
pretty
their effect
crazy.
triggers too.
Yeah. I definitely like. I think Flamgram, like, even current set 7, and then with set 8 support, is definitely a pretty good deck and viable. Like, you can build a board basically out of nothing
Yeah.
with all the calls, your Vanguard skill, Eshma, Grenadine, the pluses you want and whatnot, and then it gets decent power with Icarus, and then Grenadine just setting everything to 13k base
power. Base power.
on. Yeah, not grade 3 locked, by the way, so 26k into a 10k body is pretty annoying.
Like, I actually would maybe argue for Flamgrim to go here, but like it's probably more realistically like its gas and consistency is really good, so that's why I kind of want to put it in China top, but like it's probably around here. But it's nice that like if you are going to Lyrical Cup and you don't want to spend like $1 billion, like Flamgrim is probably like the most budget option that is viable.
Yeah. I think if you're playing the tourney, this is a deck to look out for just because of the budgetness of it. And it's also, this deck's really easy to play. Just as the fact that everything is tutorable. Well, not everything. Most things are tutorable.
Yeah, you can find it off top 2, yeah. Or off the check top 5, yeah.
Yeah, you have a lot of searchers between your Vanguard. You have the on-place top 3 girl. You have the Grenadine CB1, top however many. Eshma calls you one for EB4 and whatnot. So you're just very easily shit out of board.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna leave it somewhere here viable. Maybe because I feel like people who don't like, if you run into someone who doesn't know the Flamgrim matchup, because I feel like this deck is so underrated, like it can honestly steal games. Like with set 8, you could argue it goes here, but realistically, it's probably like around here somewhere.
Yeah, I think it's set 8. I think you can definitely say it's trying to top between the twin drive. I said the fact that it keeps getting on name support is like such a blessing. Like, all these other like so many other decks would love on name support, like with the Flamgram name for like, let's say Charmout for like a Lever name. Like Flamgram keeps getting Flamgram name support, which is actually crazy.
Actually, say, oh, you know, speaking of xenophobic archetypes and names, Ernest correct, Clarissa.
Yes, Clarissa.
I actually think Clarissa goes. I think you could argue it's Hyro, but it's probably in.
I think Clarissa's. I don't like Clarissa.
Like, okay. Like, if I explain what Clarissa does, Clarissa is basically brawlers, but with re-standers. But the re-standers are really awkward to get off, because one activates in hand, and they're all a CB, basically, by the way. And the other one gets pumped, but it's not that big unless you have the booster for every on hit behind it. And again, like, you don't really get the free order in Persona until turn 4. And also, Clarissa's Radline skills are really weird. I didn't know this until I actually like made the promo video. But you don't get the +5 if you have rears. So if you try to use Ortimo, the new promo, like you just you just lose the +5 for no reason, and you have to call this rest before you're on grade 3. So like, I don't know what I don't know what they were thinking when they designed this, but like in theory, Clarissa sounds so good, but like I honestly feel like it goes maybe either in high roll or for fun.
Yeah, I think it's definitely for fun. Like you mentioned it before, like the ride line, you're basically not doing anything turn 1 or 2, just because you swing past. Like if you call it, you could rush, but like you need your Ernest correct pieces for your actual grade 3 turn.
Yeah, and like you have to play the ride line because you need the pieces. Like you can't just throw in like Wilista ride line or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And then like grade 3 going, like this deck is also really often going first, because the main order, aim to be the strongest idol, requires your opponent's Vanguard to be grade 3 to actually get the multi-swing. So you get the power, but you don't get anything else. So you're just 3 swinging with power. So it's like, Huh?
Yeah, like you can't really punish them for like putting out a full board and rushing you, and like going second. Like what? You just pray, like
Yeah.
actually.
Like I think like consistency wise, like even with all the earnest correct names it's got is pretty okay. It's just like you're not really doing anything early game. Like the board wipe's nice later on, that the attack 2 rears, everything. Like the numbers on this deck get pretty obnoxious if you actually
Yeah,
get there. It just I don't
and
think it's
like
enough though.
yeah, and like Presso, the PG garbage trick requires your opponents have no cards on board when you play the order. So like most of these decks, like maybe a few of them, like actually no, Haseritt doesn't completely like get rid of everything on its board, right? Like there's very few
Yeah,
matchups
no.
where everything's actually clearing their entire board and would like
Yeah,
give you that
exactly.
opportunity. Right. Let's
Yeah,
cover this.
I don't think Clarissa is very good. I don't think Clarissa is very good.
Like in theory it sounds good, but like when you actually look at the deck, it's like kind of sad. Okay, Lilfa. I sort of know what Lilfa does because of cheese, but like it probably
Oh,
goes.
cheese? Who's
probably
this
goes-
magical cheese person you're talking about?
Who is this cheese arrows? Anyways, I feel like there isn't too much to say about Lilfa. Like it sounds like it does really great stuff when like I hear about the effects of the deck. But anyways, you want to explain what the deck does? I feel like Lilfa is like pretty straightforward, but like,
Lilfa is basically you have to play all grade 3s or grade 2 or
Yeah.
greater units because she's a giant, needs to fit the theme, you know, and everything. And it's pretty much I guess what's a column restand deck? I can't think of one right now.
I guess I guess the easiest thing would be like Kairi with Penelope, but like that's not really.
Yeah, I guess
they're
because
basically
it's
really big columns.
it's basically
but that's about it.
4. It's a 4 attack deck that you can extend to 5 attacks. It has decent numbers because everything gets boost and is a grade 3 and whatnot.
Yeah, and your grade 3s have shield, but like it's not amazing. You don't have resist for them like a cord.
Yeah,
it's kind of like worst Bastion, except your runes don't perform drive checks.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, this is like worst Bastion without the drive checks and without the you can't really build a hand either. Is the thing.
Yeah,
like,
Lilfa's from Lyrical set 3, right? Or is it Lyrical set 2?
Which one?
Lilfa's from set 3 or set 2?
Set 3, yes.
Oh, okay.
Base Lilfa was actually garbage. New Lilfa is like playable, but I wouldn't say very good either.
Right,
yeah.
Which one should we talk about next? Oh, you have one more thing to say about
but
Lilfa?
not very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, Lilfa just isn't doing anything impressive. Like just think of it as worst Bastion, like we said. That's so sad to say. It's like, oh yeah, this deck is just the worst version of like Mahar or whatever. Anyways,
yeah.
Actually, speaking of Mahar, absolute 0 and triple drive. I actually do okay. When this deck was first revealed, I thought the mechanic was actually really interesting, especially like the stuff that calls from drop and being able to have like that guard restrict for 5 swings. But in the context of Lyrical Cup, nothing is actually like doing more than 5 attacks is the thing. Like on the 5th attack, they do have to ditch, and like it does have a solid early game. It has Brachio.
Sagitta is 3 swings, by the way, more than 3 swings.
Yeah, I know. So like you end up paying that cost yourself and then pitching. So I mean, do you think it goes like here? Do you think it goes in for fun? I feel like the early game is okay enough to be unplayable.
I think Sagitta is as a Vanguard is fine, but her rears are really underwhelming.
Like you just
like she's missing a second wave of support.
But I feel like her first wave was decent enough to be playable, but not like competitive.
I would put her for fun. Like if you're actually trying to like her as a Vanguard is interesting and alright, but like outside of the discard effect, I feel like there isn't really much to the deck right now. Like she's really lacking another wave of support to really like push it over. Like the concepts are all there.
No. I think you're right. In the context of Lyrical Cup, she goes in like for fun. But I feel like at locals, like I mean, 3 drives is usually not enough to scam someone because like you do get a lot of power here. Actually, no, you only get Persona and then the +5 to Ephemeral, so it's actually not that much power. But like it's kind of like a pseudo crest, not really. You're not really scaling that up every like turn after your 3.
Yeah. Like her numbers are fine. Triple drive's always nice. The defensive skills are always interesting, but there's nothing really stands out about it outside of that.
Yeah, like it's not really enough to be any of like the top decks up here.
Yeah, like I wouldn't have faith. Should I really be saying this? I want you to say this with all the fans out there. But like, I don't know. It's just it hasn't done anything interesting with its gimmick yet. Is my main issue.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, so now that we've gone through enough decks, Dice to Artisaria has been revealed. So I'm just gonna put this down here. Do you want to explain this?
Yes. Sadly, the power of friendship with Fortia does not overwrite the power of luck. Sadly, it is true that luck is more powerful than the power of friendship, because Fortia, once it has a single thing locked, cannot play the game. Well, you're vanilla triple driving with 2 swings. Yeah, but no restand, because sadly Fortia needs a full board every single turn. And if you have one rear guard locked, doesn't even matter where, it could even be like randomly behind Vanguard, you cannot restand your Vanguard because you do not have a full board with the power of friendship, sadly.
I mean, like, in the context of Standard, if you don't go into any bad... I mean, this is just general for Vanguard. If you have no bad matchups and you sack enough, I think Fortia could maybe win a Lyrical Cup, but, like, is it going to happen? Probably not, because there's so many Artisaria players.
Yeah, Artisaria is probably the most popular deck. Like,
besides, like, Kairi.
If it didn't have its own category, I would probably put Fortia in the high roll category, just because...
True.
Triple drive, always very good. Not amazing numbers, but like you can. Fortia has a very good rush because you can spam everything on grade 2, tri-lane really hard, and whatnot. Like you can tri-lane grade 1 and grade 2, and then turn 3 you just restand with a Vanguard for another 4 swings. Like, this deck is like a really good rush deck.
Kind of just dies to Artisaria. Anyway, speaking of rush, like the promo is basically the same. The powerful promo for Herminia. I actually think Herminia, if you have a really good day, it probably goes in viable, but it probably goes in playable. Maybe for fun, because like at least you have a really good early game between the promo and the I forgot the name of the other grade 2.
The promo? Which promo? I don't know which promo you're talking about.
Is it not the promo? Is it a triple from Festival?
Which one? Oh, I don't know what you're talking about.
The one that calls and then shows the soul.
A Stolas?
Yeah, a Stolas.
That's like that got so old. But yeah, that was a promo.
Okay. I'm not tripping.
Yeah, that was a promo. Yeah, I think Herminia's okay.
I feel like Herminia goes here. I guess this goes in high roll. I feel like
high roll, like, yeah, you go ahead.
I feel like context within promo and just like shitting out a board, like Herminia probably maybe above Feltyrose. I mean, you have twin drive, but you only have 3 drives, right? Twin drive into 1 drive, so it's technically a little bit less high roll than Feltyrose.
You can technically get 4 if you restand Rally twice.
Yeah, but like you basically need the CB, and then like you'll basically burn that twice. So like it is a little bit restrictive, but I feel like people who like if Herminia sacks enough, like and has a really good early game, maybe.
Yeah.
But like against the top decks that are so consistent, it's probably really hard.
Yeah. Like my issue with Herminia is like I'm no expert, but her lines are really awkward because you need to blow all your counterblast on something and then manage that fake counterblast you have to actually restand something and hopefully use it. And then you need to empty your soul every turn. So if you're Persona, you need to empty your soul. That's usually not too hard of an issue, but still something you need to manage. And then you actually have to open the pieces of like having the rally to actually get the drive check.
To actually get the drive check and go.
Yeah. So like I think she's very high roll because especially if you're playing new Herminia and Ride Line, you just 5 swing when they're on grade 2 if you hit everything, which is actually pretty obnoxious because her numbers are pretty decent.
Yeah, maybe I am gassing Herminia a bit. I think it just comes down to like you have too many pieces and like you do actually have to think like you do have to manage soul and CB like you said to get like the full effects of the deck.
Like I think like if everything goes well, it's a pretty good deck. But again, I haven't play tested this deck enough to really know how consistent it is, and from what I've seen, it's not that great at doing it, but it's all right.
Really, I've only seen it on Dare Days. I'll be honest. I know one person at locals that plays it. That's about it. That's about it. I was high rolled. I buy it on Dare Days. That's how I know what it does.
I see.
Okay. So a deck that I kind of like, but I don't think is very good, to be honest, is Coral. Coral probably goes. I don't know. Coral's not good. I wish Coral was better, but I mean,
I think Coral's not terrible. Like I think the nice thing with Coral is she's very generic friendly. So like if you actually have the investment to run on the generics, she's not bad. If you have the deck space, that is,
Yeah,
because
I
you
mean,
need to
I'm
run all
biased.
the
I'll put
Coral.
Coral in playable just because of the rad line. Like I think no, yeah, you have enough like decent like check top from the grade 1, and then you have like your grade 2 bouncing something back to hand. Like you could
Yeah,
theoretically play Strega and orders, I guess, but like probably you don't have the space.
you probably don't. You don't have the space for that many things, because the main thing with Coral is deck space, because you need to run all, I don't say bricks, but they're 10k shields over all their Coral
Yeah, you have
ride
to run 4 of
lines,
every
and they
Coral
don't do
name.
anything in hand, sadly.
Well, I guess 3 in the main deck,
Outside,
but yeah, basically 4 of every Coral card. Yeah.
mhm. Like I think Coral's fine. It's just one, no real hand
So
advantage, because all your draws cost a CD, and uh she's always gonna be 4 swings. You can't really extend anymore. Her numbers are pretty good, just kind of slow, because
yeah, like
5k for every 2.
you have scaling because of
Yeah, you
like
definitely scale. You basically are a crest deck.
yeah, basically once you get enough Coral and Soul. I mean, okay. I feel like it goes here just because of scaling a triple drive, but like realistically, it probably goes here.
Yeah,
Like,
probably.
I think against in the context of Lyrical Cup, it's probably not that great. It probably is like bottom of
Yeah,
playable. Like I definitely
yeah.
think Luticia
Yeah,
is better.
I think in purely lyrical cup, I could probably see it playable. Like, Go doesn't do anything particularly bad, but not very outstanding at anything either.
Like I could see it winning an event, but I feel like so many things would have to go right for it to happen. So
Oh,
like
for
that's
sure,
why it's
yeah.
a. All right, next deck. Should we just get Alestiel all the way? That sounds so
Sure.
bad.
Yeah. Yeah, Alestiel is pretty bad in my opinion. Like,
Like
it's a
where does
you have
Alestiel go?
yeah, I think for fun, probably be in the bottom of for fun in my opinion.
Bottom for fun. Like how
Yeah,
many
this
ways of
deck is
support has Alestiel gotten, and it's still so like mid
it's
to be
still so mid.
nice.
Like, it doesn't help that the main gimmick is so inconsistent. Like the idea of binding for black wings and white wings is pretty cool, but it's so inconsistent. Like if you bind the wrong card, you're screwed, or you need to just have the Elkel every single turn.
Yeah, and like High Five doesn't really fix this issue either for the deck.
Yeah. Another thing is with Alestial is, even if you do set it up everything up perfectly, you have both wings set up, you have your board perfectly.
You can still
The
struggle to
payoff
kill.
is no, the payoff is not that great. Okay, you get plus, you don't even plus one, but you have to discard one for the call. You get another van swing, you get a crit, and you get minus 5k to the opponent. Like, it's nice when it adds up, but at a base, it's kind of not great payoff for how much work you have to do.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to put it, because like it does a lot of really good things, and like you do have the gimmick of the grade 1, I guess, if you get the right wing to not get rushed like in the rad line, but
Mhm.
it's not really doing enough that it can really, even with all that high roll, to like easily beat like the top decks in the first 2 tiers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just the payoff for how much you have to do to make the deck work is just not worth it.
Okay, let's talk about Fenelle. I think Fenelle, I honestly really dislike Fenelle at first, but then I found out how big its
Mhm.
numbers can get, and I think it actually goes here probably, right?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I think you could say Fennel's viable as well. Like, this deck is the definition of gas. Like,
Like I think
giant ass numbers, rear guards with crit, of ridiculous amount of filtering. Like, this deck is like gas at its max.
like its high roll is basically equivalent to Charmout, all, but like you only have 2 drives though, right? But like you're matching one rear's power and crit, which is like kind of crazy. If you
Yeah,
deck them
yeah,
enough trick or treats.
yeah. You're a 3-swing deck, but your swings, 2 of your swings have crit, and you flip another crit. All 3 swings have
Yeah.
crit.
And then like trick or treat, recycle, Strega, you have like honestly like a decent hand if you just don't draw like a bunch of 0 shields, aka your trick and treat
Mhm.
orders.
Yep. Yeah, like even if you don't have the hand, like the shield and whatnot, like, this deck just pushes so well. Like, what? You get like what, 10k, 20k, like 15k to front row sometimes.
Yeah.
Not 15k, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, because like your power basically not scales like a crest, but like your power accumulates really fast once you get a lot of trick or treats
Yeah.
out. I mean, I think with Strega, like if you're under the context of 4 Strega and Lyrical Cup, and like you aggro enough, I think it could. I think it's honestly above Labrador or somewhere around here.
Yeah, I can see it above Labrador. Like, it has one thing that really
just because
excels
of the
at, which is
ceiling.
nice. Yeah, it's just that this deck is a 3-swing deck, so if they have the PGs, you're not really like they have the PGs to live,
It's somewhere
right?
around here. We edit this later, but like, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and then also there's the Artisaria matchup. If you lock a column, you still have 2 columns with a crit, so that's
But then you're
it's
pretty
playable
sad.
even with that matchup.
Yeah, I feel like Fenelle should go lower just because under context of Lyrical Cup, like it definitely would struggle against Artisaria. Like if you go second and like unless you have a specific like you barely have the space for like Yuika's, but like if you did find it in the matchup, it's probably okay. But then like that's assuming you have double Yuika or whatever it's a bounceable,
but
right?
you have
Or
to empty
taking
both
specific
front
things
row.
for the matchup.
Yeah, but again, even if you have a column locked, you have two columns with a crit, so like you can just choke them at 4
like
if you really need
50k
to.
to crit basically, right? And like
Yeah.
Artisaria does not have counter charge besides like basically Caliburn. All right.
Like I think Fennel's pretty good. Like even with the 3-swing restriction, I would be okay playing it in this.
I think
this
Fennel just
concept.
blows people up. Like you don't have the PGs, you're probably like not guarding. Like you just explode. Speaking of exploding people, Haseritt. I actually think
people. Yeah, you have a lot of experience with this deck, right?
no, I do not, but I know people who gas this deck up so hard. I actually think it's playable only because it's high roll when your opponent doesn't hit a billion defensives and you see pieces is like kind of crazy. So honestly, it probably goes here. Like playable and high roll like kind of equivalent, but obviously the high roll is more so like things go your way.
Yeah, like I unfortunately am not that well versed in Haseritt, but from what I know, the deck has a lot of attacks, usually pretty small attacks. Well, I don't even usually pretty small. They're
No, you can
okay.
scale over defensives. Just I think not
Yeah, you
going
can scale
first.
over defensives.
Because like
So,
you could set up a column, but you do have to see those pieces. Like your high roll when your opponent's on grade 2, you could do I think is it 7 or 8 attacks, or is it 6? It's a lot of attacks. I always forget.
Yeah, I think you use 6 or 7. I think at least if you hit everything.
Yeah, like that sounds crazy on grade 2 when if your opponent just doesn't hit defenses. Like you either eat up a bunch of their hand or they go to like 4, and then like you hope you kill on persona turn basically.
Well, I think the slight awkward thing about Haseritt is the weird base powers. So you need to be really good at math to actually calculate all these numbers.
Yeah, it's like doing premium number math.
Yeah, everything's a 9K or a 7K. It's like, what the hell am I even calculating here?
Mediell, aka Mediell. I think this deck goes in. Would you put it in high roll or for fun? It is probably.
I think it's high roll.
Yeah.
Restanding rear with a crit is pretty obnoxious. And the rear is like what 30K on grade 2.
Yeah, it's
like,
honestly okay numbers. Like,
yeah,
it's pretty scary.
Like it's definitely a pretty annoying number. Like it's one of those decks if you hit everything you can wash someone out. But the main thing with Mediell is you have like no consistency. You don't really plus either because you have the awkwardly stacked top deck.
Yeah.
Or you have to randomly check. Oh, what do I have on top? Depending on what you have.
Yeah, like your hand is never really that big.
Yeah, and then the mechanics of this deck are really awkward to say the least. Like the idea is there, but in execution, you have to play really awkwardly to get your ideal board setup. But if you do get your ideal board setup, it's pretty nice.
You're basically just doing a bunch of like decent numbers 2 crit swings, but like you don't really have the consistency or the plus to say you could really like survive a second turn against these decks. Honestly, like you probably explode versus the meta decks.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
I feel like I feel like I'm just choosing Jesus decks at this point.
Well, you kind of did pick like 3 of them in a row.
All right, I'll pick another one. Okay, so now next up we have Vert, and Vert is just PersonaRide.exe, so I think it goes somewhere here. I don't know. It goes in for fun somewhere.
Yeah, like honestly, outside of like Persona Ride and you get 4 swings, does Vert do anything else? I don't even know what this deck does, honestly.
I mean, it's really funny because in Dear Days, you could like play the MSP in the normal version. Imagine if you were able to do that in real life. Like, Vert is basically just like scamming Persona Ride and doing like, I think, is it 4 tax? I always forget for Vert because I usually get it mixed up with Labrador because they're both prisms, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I don't play
Vert is bounce 1, call 1.
So it's 4 swings, yeah, under Persona.
Yeah, it's 4 swings.
But yeah, there's not much else to say about Vert.
Yeah, I think there's a way to cheat 5, but I wouldn't really try. Like, yes, you could.
Like maybe if it had the gimmick of like Ezel where you could ride up going second, but unfortunately it doesn't. So
Yeah, like I said, it has
it's a deck of
decent
all
gas
time.
if you hit everything, but doesn't really do anything else outside of numbers. Haha.
Let's go with Marlean. Where do you think Marlean goes? Do you think Marlean's playable?
I have actually not playtested this, but just from all the waves of start deck support, I would think this deck would be at least playable.
I mean, it's gotten a
it
lot.
it can run a bunch of it can run all the good lyrical generics. It's 5 attacks, and then it should have a decent. It can guarantee Persona Ride.
Yep, and it will continue to get start deck support because Bushiroad keeps doing this.
Yeah, like Bushy just loves. Hey, don't have a random double rare slot. Let's give the start decks another random card. Let's go.
I mean, it's kind of funny. Marlene doesn't have a core version because like Lyrical never got that. But I mean, I think if it did, Marlene might be crazy. But like, yeah, Marlene just has access to all the generics. Like, you have so much start deck support that gets you so many resources that like the deck is probably playable. But are you beating the top decks? It's definitely an uphill fight for sure.
Yeah, like the Vanguard itself is bounce 1, call 1. Okay, cool.
But guaranteed
Does
Persona
much
Ride.
else? Not really.
Deck than 1 Persona Ride.
Yeah, like surely. Well, no, we already have our next announced wave from Festival. Surely the next wave after this will make it broken, right?
Oh my gosh! Now we're gonna start talking about where's the new lyrical set. Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah, that's true. Where is the new lyrical set, Bushy? Please give me my next new lyrical set.
What deck do you want to talk about next?
Let's go. Let's finish the set 3. Let's do Michu and Kyouka next.
Okay. I think Michu. I remember talking about this earlier. I actually think Michu goes here, but
yeah.
What would you say?
I think there is like exactly where I'd put it. Yeah.
Because like I think the ceiling of the deck is good enough, and if people forget about like effect triggers, they could mess up guarding. Where like it could honestly go up here. Like if you flip enough crits with Michu and like you don't break, it honestly feels like insane gas. Yeah. Honestly.
Yeah, this deck is drive check the deck, so it really depends on how lucky you are and how your drive checks go.
I mean, like, you're a little bit restricted on CB, but you have, like, on-command countercharge, right? And, like, going first, you have 3 drive checks, right? Or is it 4? 3, right?
Yeah, you're 3 drives. You're 3 swing, 3 drive going first.
And, like, you have Retire, you have, like...
Yeah.
Kyouka...
Like, I think, one of the big perks of Michu is this is one of the few lyrical decks that has Retire. So, like, you can spot Retire things, which is really nice.
And you also get a bunch of power in front row, which is, like, crazy when you're already doing, like, 4 drives.
Numbers in this deck do get out of hand pretty fast. Like 50k 1 drive is kind of ridiculous on a no.
Yep. And like no effect triggers, so like you're basically just throwing like several 15s or just no guarding it unless you're PTing.
Yeah, like my main thing is like another thing with Michu is you can technically go first or second, because going first you get the push on their grade 2, and then going second you can do the force swing with the grade 1 no as well.
Yeah, and just go all gas immediately.
Yeah, just keep pushing and pushing.
I mean, I think because of the ceiling, I think Michu's really consistent. Like, what games do you feel like Michu isn't consistent in? Like when you basically lose when you can't find Nokunos pretty much, right? But you have 1 guaranteed tutored.
No, not Nokuno. You can't find Referica. So you can't.
True. Like you said, like going first to second, it's like really flexible because you can do full combo going second and blow people up, and then going first, like you're just gaining advantage while they're still on grade 2, and then you just explode them on your like dress up turn. Like you're plusing with drive checks, you're retiring their board. You can also no, you don't have the stun because you replace it, right? But like you just have so much utility.
The order has a stun, so you have a retire and a stun.
Yeah, every turn, right?
Yeah. Well, if you have all your pieces, of course, but yeah.
Yeah, like if you have all the pieces, I feel like the ceiling for this deck is explosive enough where like I think you could argue it does go up here. But like it is sometimes fragile, so like maybe it goes about. But I mean, Charmout's also really fragile. We put it up here.
Yeah, that's fair. I'd be okay. Like I would be okay bringing Michu to Lyrical Cup if I was trying to top.
I mean, it does really good things, and there isn't really like a big lose matchup for Michu. Like you can play into Artisaria because you have Yuikas, you have enough like gas where you can just randomly blow meta decks up.
Yeah. Like speaking of the Artisaria matchup, like even you're still 3 swings with the Artisaria matchup, which is really nice.
Yeah, even if you
Because
do like mess
you
up,
lock a front
your
row,
front row
you
gets
could have the
locked.
back row Nokono. Or if they lock the back row Nokono, they just save you a CB and you still get 3 drives.
Yeah. Your Gritty Nokono does drive, and then you just twin drive with like base Van and get power front row. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, like, because usually the Artisaria, if they lock my center back row, yeah, it sucks, but I'm still doing 3 swings with 3 drives with big numbers, so you
Yeah,
have to deal with that
still have to
still.
deal with that, yeah. And then you're probably swinging like Van first into like Gritty Nokono, right? So like they have to commit the
Yeah,
resources or just take the hit.
exactly.
All right. Let's cover Pacifica. Now, I talked to 2 players that play this deck too much. So two players. One for locals and one guy from Hawaii, maybe. So, I think this deck probably goes in. Okay, there's a really funny high roll combo I learned for Pacifica with Henriette. So I'm just gonna place the deck here. But is there anything you want to say?
I think Pacifica, I wouldn't even mind putting it in playable, in my opinion. Like, it's
I think playable only because
right,
of Stregas, honestly.
but it doesn't really stand out anyway. Like, it has very good hand advantage between the draw 2 constantly, and then it always has 4 attacks.
You draw 2,
it can empty,
the promo or the triple that draws 1, but it bot decks itself.
Sorry, which one?
Is it a triple or promo? I always forget. The one that gets plus 5k and then bot decks itself to draw 1. The combos I know for Pacifica are like solid early game from Strega. You have not every good, but like basically you have Strega Yuika combo. You have like the Henriette you can tutor with OT to make like a really big number.
Yep. You have on-demand countercharge. You have on-demand countercharge with Ingrid, and then you can always just keep drawing cards with the calling the planet idols.
I mean, honestly, Ingrid Yuika is like kind of scary, and then like, I mean, you can't tutor the ace unit. But anyway, talk about the ace unit is like going off topic, but like,
yeah,
the ace unit is pretty funny because like you can't play that with Pacifica. Because I believe it's wait, actually, I have to check the ace unit. Is it placed from hand? I'm pretty sure it's just placed other than during the battle phase, so it works. So you can have Yuika plus that effect in Pacifica.
Yeah, when placed other than battle phase. The thing is, Pacific only superior calls during battle phase.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I think the Pacifica is very toolboxy, so like it really depends on how the pilot plays around the deck and how the matchup is. So like I think you really need to be knowledgeable about like, what you need a toolbox, what you need to get, and then actually like how you want to swing with your attacks and whatnot.
So to talk about Lisciafael, I actually think this deck is hella gas. I think this deck actually goes somewhere around here. This deck does so many good things. It gets 18k base after Divine Skill. It gets 3 drives. It gets, it can explode people with the restander because you have the go second play of like swinging a van before the restander and then putting all triggers there. Like you can honestly eat up so much hand, and like its grind game is really like I think the only grind game it really loses to is maybe Kairi. Like in comparison, out of all these other decks.
It's also very generic friendly, which like you can play all of the good lyrical cards and throw them all in a pile, and then it draws you cards, builds you a board, suck them into soul. Oh look, now you have a triple drive to even more advantage. You play. You can also like check to see if you want to run Wilista red line, gets you an early game as well, along with all the lyrical generics. Wilista Strega. Oh look, free board.
Yeah, I think Wilista Strega and like Lisciafael specifically is so good, especially because you want to fill up a board and shove things to soul, and like it's pretty easy to find your countercharger too. And really, all you need is like 1 CB for the restander, and then maybe a CB for Divine Skill. Like the only weird thing is sometimes when you like, let's say use like Strega early or something, and like don't have the 6 soul, but you really only need the 6 soul when you want a shotgun Divine Skill. Like other than that, your soul doesn't really matter.
Yeah, like for this deck, I feel like main thing with Lisciafael, you really want to go first. Because you shotgunning Divine Skill going second sometimes feels really bad. Because I'd have to neg yourself from hand, or you're already behind tempo, so you really want to shotgun Divine Skill. Because you really want to save Divine Skill for when you actually Persona Ride. So you can actually restand and actually push.
But I feel like it's so doable, because like maybe I just have too much brain rot from Dear Days of like blowing people up with like Resius going second with Lisciafael. You just give it to the restander and then like put crit there. And then basically if they're at like 3 damage, you can basically choke them at 4 and make them guard like 4 swings. If you flip a crit and give it to the restander, because Van will have a crit, and of course they don't want to take giant Van with 3 drives when they're at like 3 or 4.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I was just say it does its job well. Is the
Like,
main thing
you
with
think
Lisciafael.
Lisciafael should be like over here? Like, I think it should definitely be somewhere up here.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think where it is fine. Like, I think it's not quite as like consistent, or it has the push power of like Kairi. Not gonna be as popular, or it has the lockdown of Artisaria.
I
I
feel
do
like it's
think it's
pretty
better
popular
than.
because it's a Destiny unit, honestly.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Like, I think where it is fine.
Like, I would argue Lisciafael could go up here, honestly, between Kairi and Artisaria. But like power wise,
Yeah,
it's probably around here. Like Artisaria is only good because like they both have good early game, good late game, and like Lisciafael getting 18k base against Artisaria is really not. With Kairi, your numbers are so big, you're probably 2-hand, 3-hand guarding anyways, or just taking
yeah,
it.
yeah. Like, there's also the plus of high five we talked about earlier. Like, I think
Yeah.
right now Lisciafael without high five is just all right. I think high five like would really push this deck up if you can pick up your promos.
Yeah, like you can play the guard restrict, but you probably don't need it. You have a grade 2 that can sorry, grade 1 that can become an 18k booster and call like Kyouka or whatever else you need from Soul. Like, I feel like the deck has almost everything you'd want. Like, it's just a good lyrical deck and can like explode people, and that's kind of what you need in Lyrical Cup.
Yeah, like you just need bodies on board, and you get a triple drive. Like, if you have to, just call a trigger down. It's not recurable, but it's a body. That's all you need.
Yeah, I think the worst thing with Lisciafael is like when you don't find Persona Ride, but like again, you still could like Strega Yuika bounce it like every other every other lyrical deck ever.
Yeah.
Like, I can't really think.
Yeah.
Like, in my opinion, I don't really think Lisciafael has a glaring weakness besides like not finding Persona Ride. Like, I feel like this deck does like everything. I feel like because of lyrical generics.
Yeah. The power of lyrical generics. Let's go.
Yeah, like Kairi arguably utilizes it better because like you have so much shield and you have Penelope and like 5 swings, but like when you high roll with Lisciafael, your opponent just rolls over sometimes.
Yeah, it is triple drive deck with on a 23k Vanguard first swing.
Yeah,
Is it?
23
Do they really want to be
pretty
guarding
good,
that
pretty
most of the
good.
time without a PG?
Yeah, and then like you flip enough triggers, they just roll over to your restander. End of story.
Yeah, it's any drive check heavy deck. If you flip enough triggers, they'll die.
So yeah, okay. So basically to wrap it up, I think with high 5, honestly, Lisciafael is like somewhere here. Probably not as good as Kairi.
Yeah.
Probably like second best deck. Like without high 5, it's probably like around here. I think it's definitely better than these 3 for sure.
You talk about the other cat girl?
Oh, the other cat girl? True, Loronerol. I actually think this deck probably goes down here, not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Every time I talk to someone who plays this deck, they're just like, yeah.
Yeah,
This isn't really
Loro is my favorite lyrical unit and everything, so like I love her. But the deck is so ass. It's way too slow. Like, your pluses, like you plus, but you don't really plus to hand, you plus to board.
Yeah,
and then even
your
if you plus
restanders
the
still
board,
poking
you
for
don't.
what, 25? Like your restanders aren't poking that much shield.
Yeah. You don't even have restanders. You don't get restands till turn 4, where you actually want to.
Oh yeah! Oh my gosh, I forgot.
Yeah, this deck is way too slow. Is the main issue. Like, and all our songs are pretty outdated and bad. Like, I want a new wave of songs, like all 4. Like
all of them.
Like,
yeah,
Fractal is okay, but all the other ones are like so outdated and way too slow.
Yeah, like you could play. Actually, no, you don't have space for like Strega, Wilista, Yuika, Bradline Pile. Like,
Eureka, sure. Strega, you don't play normal orders.
Yeah,
Strega's only normal orders.
That's the thing. But I mean, like,
but yeah.
No PG. Like, someone doesn't know the matchup, they explode, right? But like,
yeah, no PG is cool, but then that's a turn 4 thing. You also need to find Persona Ride, which Persona Rides are, if you have too many, they're bricks. Like, you're not really doing anything.
Yeah, because you have to play them to get the dress up. Is Loronerol play Sentinel from hand, or can you sanctitude it? Is it the same?
You can't sanctitude. It's from hand. Yeah.
Oh, you can sanctitude Loronerol. Oh,
you can sanctitude Loro. Yes. And the thing is, like, even on Loro, like, unless you're on the new one where you actually have, so the OG one where you can flip Fractal, your base Loro is not that big. Like, you're like 33 maybe, which is pretty guardable without a Sentinel.
Yeah, that's kind of right. And this is like your turn 4 play, right? That's kind of sad.
Like, if you, like I said, you flip, basically you have one play, which is on Persona Ride, CB1 Sing, Red Runway, so you get a crit, and then on Swing, Flip Fractal, Stand 2, get 20k, so you're like what, 43, which is still pretty guardable for no Sentinel.
Yeah, you just throw a bunch of like 15s and say like 2 or no pass. But I mean, like, okay, you love this deck, right? Like, if everything goes right, could you see it in playable tier? Or would you put it in high roll, maybe? I don't know. I feel like...
I think you could maybe see a high roll just because any deck with a guard restrict can always cheat a win.
But then we have to like a new category if we do that. I feel like...
Yeah, like... and like, even like on the new Loro, like going second, you can technically get the guard restrict turn 3, but then you need to open so many cards. You need to open a Persona that you actually don't Persona with. You shove it in Soul, and then you need to open a Marlean to actually shove it into Soul and everything.
Everything.
Yeah, like triple drive with a guard restrict sounds really good, but getting there is a huge pain in the ass and like usually not worth it.
Okay, high roll, surely.
Yeah, I said I love Loro, so if you want to put it in there, sure. But I think the deck is pretty ass.
Okay, let's move on to Wilista. Okay, so Wilista was a Titan of its time until it wasn't. So I feel like Wilista maybe wasn't viable, but like it's so outdated that like I don't know if it has enough gas. Like its numbers are decent still. Like if you find the grade 2, like turn 2 and then turn 3, but like it's just kind of mid compared to all the other lyrical decks. Like it probably goes around here. Where would you move Wilista?
I would be okay putting Wilista in viable. Like I personally think Wilista is a little slept on. Like yes, like the meta has like and power creep have like moved forward, but like she's unrestricted, so with like and everything. Yep. So like she's still what she does is very good. She draws a bajillion cards and has restanding rears. Like that's really like what else can you ask for? With also like pretty big numbers too.
I mean, I think it's consistent enough. Like 5 attacks with big numbers is still like quite the amount of resources. Yeah, they give it every turn to live.
Yeah, like she does everything she did when she was at the top. It's just now the power creep has pushed her a little bit lower.
I mean, do you think she should go top of like playable then instead, like before, or because I feel like if we're talking about like if we put Fenelle in viable because of all this gas, I feel like Wilista kind of does deserve to be here. Because like your rears are still asking for like 2 handguards unless fronts.
Yeah, like I'd be okay putting at the bottom of viable. Like either spot's okay. I definitely do think she's better than every deck in the playable tier currently. Is the thing.
Okay, that's fair. Like I feel like someone could make top cut with Wilista. It would just
I definitely think
like
could make top cut with Wilista.
It like it's not that it would be hard. It was just like what am I trying to say? Like Wilista does a lot of really good things, like you said. Like it's definitely possible.
Yeah, it's just it has some consistency things between needing to find Persona Ride, but you just run a bajillion Psychers, draw a bunch of cards. Surely you'll hit.
I guess we could put it down to playable, like if you don't find Persona Ride, but I think a lot of these decks fall apart without Persona Ride.
I agree. Yeah, like I said,
like
Labrador, I think bottom of viable is totally okay.
So Petralka. Where do you think Petralka goes? I think bottom of playable, but
I would say high roll just because she's a Highlander deck. Like,
yeah, that's true.
Is it playable? Sure, but you need everything to freaking go right. Was it 3 van swings in a row is pretty obnoxious if you hit it.
Yeah, it's like again, twin into 1 drive into 0 drives, right?
No, it's 1 drive into 1 drive into 1 drive.
Oh, right.
Petralka's always minus 1 drive. And the thing with Highlander decks in general, you really need a good pilot. So like you need to know what's in your deck, what you're calling, how to bottom deck the right cards to actually have the Petralkas actually in it and everything. This is of course nowhere near as like complicated as other Highlander decks.
But I feel like Petralka's still pretty good. Like I could see it topping. Like would things have to go right? Would the player have to be good? Like you said, yes. But it's possible.
It's possible. Like the fine. Like Lyrical has enough good one-ofs that you can run between the generics and even like the actual Petralka support where it'd be playable for sure. But again, you need a lot of things to go well for you.
Yeah, that's fair. Too many things that have to go right. That's why it's in high roll. I can't believe I was gonna put it playable. But I mean, I think the deck is good enough where like you can win with this.
Yeah, but that's not really because of Petralka. It's because of the general
how good
Lyrical
Lyrical is. Kyouka, the magazine deck. I actually think this deck goes somewhere viable, just because you have Rocket Cores, but like
Rocket Cores,
and you get a free board. So I think it goes somewhere, maybe around here ish.
Yeah,
maybe
I would say, yeah, I think I said around there, maybe above Luticia and playable too. Like this deck, like it does a bit of everything, but doesn't really like stand out in any way. Like it tutors a shit ton, or like thins the deck a ton. It has restanders. It has decent numbers and everything, but it doesn't really stand out in any way. Outside of
it's not exactly Jackal Trays, but like you said, like it does things really well. I think its rears are really good, and the magazine orders are strong. And you also do get like the extra.
Yeah, you can. The fact that you can recur PGs.
Yeah.
Every turn, if you have to, because the order does not say no Sentinels. You can CV1, revive a PG, bounce it back.
Bounce it with Yuka. Woo. Do you think Kyouka should be lower? I feel like it's fine where it is. Like I feel like it should.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think there is fine. Like the issue with Kyouka is on paper, everything seems so good, but in practice, it can be quite awkward between needing to find a magazine, needing to find certain cards, actually happening to revive certain things from drop and whatnot.
I mean, you have really good pieces that get you magazine. I think you definitely do want Persona Ride to get the value out of the Rocket Cores. Like when you
Persona Ride's not really an issue because Persona Ride's loopable in this deck.
Oh yeah, and Kyouka. But I mean, like getting the magazine isn't the hardest thing in the world. Like I think the deck is consistent enough and it does enough things well that it should be viable.
Yeah, I think there should be fine.
All right, the last deck. I totally put this last on purpose. Well, I guess Kairi's last.
On purpose.
Tell me, where does Siana go?
I don't even know. Siana's a really interesting case because it's such a weird deck.
I think if you're a good pilot, maybe here, but like.
Yeah, I think so. I wouldn't really put it like I wouldn't be confident in bringing Siana if I was trying to top, but I think it's an alright deck overall.
I feel like a lot of people don't know the Siana matchup. Like they don't know how to pay their taxes, as someone would say.
Oh, pay their taxes. True. Yeah, because you really need to think about how you play into this matchup when you're playing Siana. Because like, okay, what is worth binding? What is worth ditching? Is it worth guarding the 3 cards to not give them the extra drive? That kind of thing. Like,
I mean, it's
it really keeps you on your
drives,
toes,
right? That's scary.
Yeah, 3 drives with a crit.
Ooh.
Yeah. So like it really keeps you on your toes. So you really need to be wary of it. Like for sure, if you as you mentioned, like as an inexperienced player, like it can definitely like cheat some games, or if not, you just stall out the win. Stall out a lot of games.
Stall out a deck out somehow before time is gone.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
I know. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I think the Siana Ride line is goated just because you don't really you basically discourage getting rushed because like you can bind them at the end of battle basically.
Yeah.
Like you punish them basically for aggroing you early.
Yeah, like I know a lot of like you can also just play the long game and just weed up the resources because Siana always has 15k shield. Just shove a trigger into soul and everything, and that deck usually runs all draws too, so it usually has a hand.
Just stalling for.
So like you just stall until they have no more gas until you actually kill them or deck them out.
Oh yeah, that's true. Siana stall, it was probably really strong. Can you do like Siana hostage, or is that not a thing?
There's no hostage order in Lyrical.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
we got boost.
Oh yeah, you just have boost. I mean, okay, I think your point is still really valid though. I think Siana definitely being a stall game, and people who don't know the matchup would definitely like misplay against it. And I think even though we're in like such a power cup standard and not premium, I think if you misplay enough against Siana, it can definitely cost you.
Yeah, I don't think it's playable. Like I'd probably put it like by where Coral is if
you think it goes above all these other decks?
Yeah.
Okay, no.
Like I said, just because it makes you play so differently is the main thing.
Yeah, like it forces you to like think about your matchup and your play every turn. like both. Well, I mean, I guess guarding not so much on opponent's turn before like I guess when they swing Siana, but like during your turn, like you have to think extra.
Even guarding, you could have to think about it because they technically do have the restander that they can use. So
Oh,
it's like,
yeah, true.
okay, how do you want to do that? Nothing is technically on hit, and then what else is there? They also bounce your front row, which can be helpful or hurtful depending on the cause.
I mean, okay,
Because
if
hey,
we look at Siana, oh, sorry, what were you
yeah, no, because I'm like, hey, you can reuse some of your on place effects and whatnot, which actually can help you sometimes.
Yeah, you bounce like their Valifer, you're like, cool, okay. Free soul, I guess.
Free soul.
Thanks. I mean, if you look at Siana versus like the top decks like Kairi, Artisaria, blah, 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 I feel like none of those matchups are really a complete like losing matchup. That's the only reason why I think it's in like playable. And like people who don't know the matchup would probably fold to it, like we've said a billion times.
Yeah, well, I do think it has a awkward Artisaria matchup because they can just give their shadowing tokens for free, and
Yeah,
then
you
if they
bounce
lock
them,
you a
they go
column,
poof.
you're a 3 swinging, which really sucks, or 2 swinging.
Yeah, if your front row gets locked, you don't have like double.
Yeah, yeah. So like we have a deck, the new Grade 3 Kairi will come out halfway through the season
Yeah,
and
basically midway
whatnot
through
around there,
Summerfest.
which introduced the new Grade 3 Kairi, which you can just basically just drop the full Grade 4 package, play full Grade 3, and like actually get Persona Ride. Woo!
Or you can play both Grade 3 and Grade 4 Kairi. Whoa.
Yeah, Grade 3 or Grade 4 works. Basically, great. From what I've seen, Grade 3 Kairi either lets you play the Mermaid package, which you have all the mermaids. You can play the little boost order that gives them all boost
Yep.
and make them all really big and whatnot. Or I've seen cases where you just basically run all the lyrical generics and basically play lyrical generics deck.
Yeah. I mean, I think the
'Cause-
biggest. Oh, sorry. What were you
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah, because basically between Grade 4 and the new Persona Grade 3, you basically are dropping all your defensive pieces. So you're dropping the Yasmins, dropping the Walbrigias, and everything like that just to play, even the Hualettes, to play all the good lyrical generics so you can actually have like a very good aggro and a rush game.
Yeah, because the thing is, Willet's like skill is basically Kairi's second skill. Like they basically printed Grade 4 Kairi as a Grade 3, but you have the Persona Ride plus you have the extra bounce. But I mean, I think having to burn your CV a lot like really, really hurts. Because like Grade 4 Kairi, as long as you're on Grade 4 Kairi, it's like free bounce and you proc everything basically and get the power again. Like you don't really need to think about your CB as much as compared to like Grade 3 Kairi builds.
Like I think both decks are valid. It's just which playstyle or like what build do you prefer kind of thing.
So do we put it like above Grade 4 Kairi? I think that like they're basically, I mean, they're not really the same deck, but they're basically the same deck. I think probably the best deck in the format will be Grade 3, Grade 4 Kairi, but like maybe that's not what people are cooking. Maybe people have hidden lyrical sauce. I don't know.
I don't know. I personally think Artisaria would with set 8 will probably. I think you could call it that best deck in my opinion.
Yeah, I think once Artisaria gets set 8 support, it's probably either equal with Kairi or better. So like I think it's somewhere around here. Like I'm surprised Artisaria, because like Ty Dream and other people were gassing it up so much in JP that I'm surprised it doesn't have more tops in like Osaka and recent team events. Because I think in a team event format, Artisaria is probably really solid. But again, we're talking about Lyrical Cup format. So I think it's probably something like this order, honestly. But, like,
I think it's fine.
These top 3 are like basically interchangeable. Like
I think Grade 3 Kairi. I said we'll see when actually English comes out, and like I said, we're speculating with set 8. Maybe like I said, it'll get no results in the English side, even though with all the hype and everything. Still, I was thinking it would just because Kairi's a popular boss unit. It's an OG TD boss and everything.
I mean, I think it would. Like, you don't even need like, because once you have Grade 3 Kairi and like you have those effects to bounce, you basically just clear your front row against Artisaria. So like it's like it was already a fine matchup before, and then like it's slightly better now because like you don't really need double Yuika or have to like worry about calling to back row if you don't have the way to clear front row, because you'll just end up turn if you Persona Ride, bounce 2 things back to your hand.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I'm fine being up with it being up there.
Is there anything else we want to move around? I'm pretty happy with it. Maybe we could move Kyouka, but like,
yeah. I feel like our trying to top tier is a little too bloated, in my opinion.
I mean, we could move Charmout and Michu down. Actually, I feel like Krsyrain could also be demoted, honestly.
Yeah. I think, again, Krsyrain's fine. I also think you need, like, Krsyrain doesn't get as much from high 5 as Lisciafael, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So like I don't think it moves as far up, even with it.
I mean, I think it goes like somewhere around here. Like we could honestly move these last 3 down.
I'd do Lisciafael, Michu, Krsyrain, Charmout if I was doing an order.
Like this. And then Krsyrain move down.
No. I move Krsyrain, Charmout, and then I move Charmout down.
Really? You don't think Charmout goes and trying to top? Like a top of rival like this?
Yeah, I would do this. I would do that, yeah.
Okay. Because I feel like Charmout's still like a pretty good ceiling. Like Charmout with high 5. I mean, I feel like he just loses to the top decks because of like consistency sometimes.
Yeah. Like I think high 5's nice, but I feel like the high 5 gives you more defensive options and like pluses to hand, but like I feel like Charmout, you just want to play gas and just want to keep pushing.
But I mean, it helps you live for another big gas turn. But like, it doesn't really help you for the early game, right? Like, if you get beat early game, like you're just getting your damage shoved in really fast.
Yeah. Like Charmout's good, but quite fragile.
Like I'm pretty confident with these being at the top. I mean, Kairi's Kairi. Like these two are basically the same / interchangeable. I mean, I think Flamegram should stay in viable. Maybe you can move it up, but like I think it should stay.
I think with set 8, I think you can argue if moving up as well.
All right, so are we happy with this tier list? Is there anything else?
Do we want to put Fortia in an actual tier?
Do we want to order things? Do we want to move Fortia from the Shadow Realm?
Yeah. Do we want to move Fortia into an actual tier?
I mean, I think it could go in playable, but maybe not.
I mentioned it earlier. I think high roll is fine. I'd put it around like Petralka is.
Okay, sure. If someone tries to like screenshot this, we'll put it in like around here before Petralka.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
They're basically doing about the same. Actually, no. Fortia has the Vanguard restand. I think it goes like around here.
But Petralka technically has the Vanguard restand too if you hit it.
True. I mean,
I think re-ride.
Pretty generous with this list. Maybe Coral could move. I'm not too sure about Coral.
I would move Pacifica over Coral.
Like this?
Yeah. Marlean I can't really say just because I haven't actually tested Marlean.
I mean, we could put Marlean in for fun. I feel like maybe people will give flack for like Marlean being unplayable, but like it does have a lot of good stuff. Like
that's one of the good things. And again, that deck is so generic. Again, you just run all the lyrical generics.
Like it's basically the equivalent of like Petralka. Like it has the ceiling of every lyrical generic being playable.
But you can run them at 4s instead of 1.
Like, bro. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this tier list. Let's see.
And there's no point in ranking the bottom tier, right? Because I'd probably move.
Should we move these last 3 in Bible?
I'm okay with them there.
I feel like they are a step above like everything else.
Yeah, like I said I definitely think Kyouka, Fenelle, and Wilista are better than Luticia.
Dang, and this is coming from the person that mains Luticia, kind of.
Yeah.
Maybe we could move Siana. I'm like fine with Siana being unplayable. Like I guess you could move it like over here, but I mean they're about the same, honestly.
Yeah. Like I said, to be honest, like I said, anyway, Siana to Marlean is kind of whatever. Like I think Luticia is the top of that tier. Everything else is kind of like I said. I like Siana there just because it gives you a different play style, right?
Yeah. Like I definitely feel like like we said before, like if you don't know the matchup, it's like cooked actually. Another day somewhere. Oh no. Okay, like I still think Michu should be up here. I'm fine with Charmout being down here. I definitely think Lisciafael should be up here. Krsyrain,
that's fine.
Krsyrain we could move down, but like I mean, I feel like Krsyrain does steal games though. Like that's like it steals games and like you honestly have good numbers for your rears.
Yeah, like you can't really say Krsyrain's bad at anything.
Like, I mean, it has. I mean, the early game isn't insane, but like you can just play like Highland.
Yeah.
I mean, what is Krsyrain doing early besides Striker?
You can. You can like most of your. Well, I don't even say that. Slam Franchette column. That Franchette. Anything else on the other side? Bounce whatever's on the other side. Like this deck is the Franchette deck. Like you have a turn 2 play.
Franchette 23 column response. Would you like to guard?
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I guess we could do like a set 8 version and move Flamgrab, but I feel like Flamgrab should be up here at the top with Viable with Charmout. Like, I could see these decks like topping an event.
Yeah. Like I said, we have what? We have 12 decks at top, and I'm okay with all 12.
Yeah, there's nothing else I would really want to move. Maybe like I feel like the high roll
Yeah,
category is really good.
Like I said, I think we can rearrange the bottom,
You
but I don't
wanna
think there's
rearrange
really a
for fun.
point. Yeah, like I think Alestiel, Clarissa are definitely bottom worst 2 decks in Lyrical.
Alestiel and Lilfa, yeah, probably
No,
Loronerol
no.
up here.
No, I put Alestiel and Clarissa. I think Clarissa's worse.
Damn.
And then I probably put Vert under Lilfa too.
Damn.
Because Lilfa's actually gotten waves of support, you know? And it's got a dress out.
Like all of these decks have gotten waves of support, except for Zero and like the promo. Like
no,
well, I guess
Vert came
Vert
in
hasn't.
No, Vert hasn't either. That's the thing.
So move Vert up.
So
Totally.
yeah, I put her under Lilfa.
Oh my god. I'm pretty happy with this tier list. I think definitely the top 6 are like the meta decks. These are like the decks you have to like respect. I think Viable you still have to like respect, like they're consistent enough and they can steal games.
Yeah.
Playable is like you can probably bring this to an event, but you're like not super likely to top, especially with top 8. And then the other ones are like, you know, high roll is high roll, and then for fun is like you're probably not topping unless you're like insane.
Yeah, like I said, the top 2 tiers are like basically decks you're almost certainly gonna see at Lyrical Cup, in my opinion. So like if you're playing again, even if you aren't playing them, you probably should at least be prepared to face them.
So you don't think Luticia is gonna show up? No way. People are definitely gonna bring Luticia to Lyrical Cup.
Time
to put into Viable.
Luticia is very popular is the main thing. Like, have you seen those LSR prices?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing that keeps Luticia up there. That the main reason you'll see it because she's popular.
Yeah, it's just so popular.
Yeah. So after some internal discussion and input, this is the list that we've settled on.
I mean, I'm pretty okay with it.
I'm generally pretty happy. Like basically, the top two lists are decks you're most likely to be seeing, decks you should be prepared for, and stuff like that. Although this is Lyrical Cup, everyone will have their own waifu and their favorite, so you never know what you're gonna see at Lyrical Cup.
Yeah, like the for fun, it sounds mean to say, but for fun is basically like the Jag tier list. But like you still will probably run into these somehow. Like it's Lyrical Cup. There's just like 30 decks or whatever. I guess if you're not counting both Kairi versions, then maybe 29. But like there's a lot of lyrical decks. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. So this is what we settled on. Thank you so much for watching. Pretty happy with honestly the tier list, right? Pretty happy with it.
Yeah.
I already asked this
I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah. Hey, leave a like, comment your favorite lyrical unit. If you're playing Lyrical Cup, what deck will you be bringing?